Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do the twist part of the twisted headband and then to finish. So you would have knit the first part of your knitting. For the purposes of the video, I've made a smaller one because a bigger full-size one will take longer. For the cable twist, you need your cable needle. Take half the amount of stitches and transfer them onto your cable needle, like so. Then you want to take the working yarn and you want to use this in front to knit the rest of the stitches, like so. Now this part here, you don't want to pull too tightly because it will be impossible to maneuver, but you want it kind of close together. Once you finish this row, you now want to take the stitches on your cable needle and start knitting from here first. This is why you didn't want to pull this bit too tightly, because otherwise it's really hard to get your needle in. And so you knit to the end of these stitches, like this. And that's basically how you create the twist. It doesn't look like very much at the moment, but if you add a few rows, it starts to make a bit more sense. So bear with me whilst I add a few on. Now, I think a lot of you, once you get to this point, you kind of look at your work and just think, it looks a mess, I've done it wrong, I don't know what I'm doing. And I promise you haven't. Because this doesn't very much look like the photo. But if you twist this part here, then you can see this is the twist. So when you sew it up, you just need to make sure that you've twisted it correctly, and then you can sew around the back. I'm just going to do a few more rows to make it long enough to be able to sew together, and then I can show you how to do that. I'm sorry, I'm sure this is really boring to watch. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple more. And then I can cast off quickly. So before you cut your yarn, just make sure that you have a tail long enough so that you can actually sew the two ends together. Like I said before, you want to make sure that you've twisted your work so that you've got that twist right there, so then when you put the ends together, it's twisted correctly. Oh gosh, sorry. Now let me just find a needle. Now you want to sew it together. So, oops. Thread your yarn. Now you can either do mattress stitch, which is where you pick up the V's, through the V's, on each side, so you can see the V of the stitch here. And if you keep doing that all the way down, it'll bring the two ends together with an invisible seam. So you're essentially sewing the two ends inside like that. So you can continue that until you get to the bottom. I will just do a few more, just so you can see. Everything always looks a bit messy at first, and then it kind of turns out okay. I would recommend this stitch just because it's neater. Okay, so yeah, you can see that's a really lovely join. Almost like it's basically seamless. But if that's not really for you, then you can just do like a little, like kind of like a whip stitch, which I'll show you. Okay. Just thread our needle, make sure the twist is twisted correctly. And then holding the two ends together like so, just a thread through the very end. And then go through the V's of the cast off and cast on. Like this. This one isn't as neat as the other, but it's pretty simple, and it works just fine, to be honest. Okay, almost at the end. There we are. So this one, you can kind of see the loops here and turn it inside out. It looks a little bit neater. Then to finish, I'm going to turn it inside out. You just weave in your ends. So with weaving in the ends, it's important just to follow the stitch pattern, so you don't get any visible signs. So then you can just trim that. And the same with the cast on tail. And slip that one too. Turn it in the right way. And you're done.